Hello and welcome to TechFunnel.com's interview series. My name is Danny White, and today we have joining us Lou Adler. Lou is the CEO and founder of Performance-Based Hiring Learning Systems, a consulting and training firm helping recruiters and hiring managers around the world source, interview, and hire the strongest and most diverse talent. Lou is the author of the Amazon Top 10 bestseller, Hire With Your Head, the Essential Guide for Hiring and Getting Hired, and the lynda.com performance-based hiring video training program. He is one of the top bloggers on LinkedIn's influencer program, writing about the latest trends in hiring, employment, and recruiting. His articles, quotes, and research can now be found in Inc. Magazine, Business Insider, Bloomberg, SHRM, and the Wall Street Journal. The company's new mobile-ready learning platform, The Hiring Machine, provides instant access to all of the tools needed to find and hire outstanding talent. Welcome, Lou. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Hey, that was a great introduction, Danny, and I'm delighted to be here.
Awesome. So we're just going to dive right into it. Companies are always looking to hire the best people, but often go about assessing candidates in some of the wrong ways. You've developed a performance-based hiring method specifically for this reason. Can you give us, in a nutshell, what that method looks like?
Well, bottom line, I make the contention that most companies don't know what the work is that the person needs to do to whom they're going to hire. So they go about asking a bunch of questions that get around the truth. And I don't mean the truth in the sense of, hey, we're looking for a good person who can do this work and they fit with the team and culture, and all those things are very important. But if you don't know exactly what the work is, and if the candidate isn't competent and motivated to do that work, it doesn't matter what you ask, it's problematic if you're going to hire the right person.
Right.
So long ago as a recruiter, I created performance-based hiring. And it started by, hey, let's define the work you need done. It's not a job description listing skills. That's a skills, competencies, and must-have behaviors. That's not a job description. That's a person description. So I would say, hey, what does a person need to do to be successful? And then we'll set up a series of interview questions to ensure the person's competent and motivated to do it. So performance-based hiring is based on that concept. We also add, how do we find good people like that? How do we assess them properly? And how do we close them properly? So that's the basics of performance-based hiring. Understanding the work, understanding how to find great people who want to do that work, interviewing, and then hiring.
Awesome. So you've been in the recruiting industry for well over 30 years now. What is the single most important question that matters in an interview?
Well, there's no single question that matters. All the questions that matter that are appropriate and correct. The question that I think that I always ask after conducting a work history review, so I get a sense of who this person is and their general fit. So the question I ask, and I ask it multiple times, is, hey, one of the big challenges we have in this job is launching a new product line, building an accounting system, becoming a sales rep and making quote in 6 months, whatever it is. I tell the candidate, here's what we're looking for. Then I ask, hey, what have you done that's most comparable to that? And I spend probably 10 to 15 minutes on each of those questions. Hey, you got to build a team. Hey, you got to launch a new product. And most jobs have 5 or 6 key performance objectives that define the work that needs to be done and some metric of success. And I describe that to the candidate. Hey, what have you done? And then I spend 10 or 15 minutes understanding, when'd you do it? Why'd you do it? How'd you do it? What was your role? How did you get the job? What was the big challenge in the job? Walk me through the plan. So the question is, it's more a concept is, hey, I want to understand what you've accomplished in relationship to the real job. So yes, an overriding question is, what have you done that's most similar to this? But there's a lot of peeling the onion that goes behind it. And that's, so it's a question concept rather than a specific question with a specific answer.
Gotcha. So with so many technologies going around now, especially, with artificial intelligence driving a lot of the process that is involved in recruiting and as well as automation, where do you see the human resources and recruiting industry going over the next 5 years?
Well, I think AI is critically important, but it's not sufficient. The reason it's not sufficient is some of the best people who you could hire are not looking, that's not insignificant. You got to talk them into, hey, Danny, well, let's talk about this job. More important, but different perspective is the best people rarely have the mix of skills listed on the job description.
Right.
So if AI is using some kind of intelligence, say, we're going to look at all these skills and mix of them, and we're going to figure out what the best mix of skills are. That's the best people are the ones who have less skills and experience because they get promoted more rapidly. They're learned quickly. They tend to get promoted internally or rehired from a coworker. And there aren't enough of those people to do the AI properly. So they look at people who got hired who applied. So at some level, AI is a one-dimensional solution based on skills and experiences as opposed to a multi-dimensional solution about, okay, here's the right person. Is that right person ready to take the new job? Is that right person motivated and competent to do the work in our culture? So there's a bunch of layers that need to be done in AI, and I've talked to half a dozen or more vendors. Most of them are doing one of those levels of conditional thinking. Some of them are doing two. I haven't found anybody that's looking at it of all the dimensions that count.
Wow.
What's the status of the person? Is the person motivated? Is this person an achiever? Can this person work with a culture? Can they fit with a team? So there's all of these. And can this person is hireable and work in our salary level? Can I close the deal? So AI is not thinking of it at the total system level. They're looking at a very granular level of, let me match the skills and experiences written on a job description to the candidate pool. And unfortunately, that list of skills and job descriptions on a candidate pool aren't on the job description. The skills and experiences listed on the job description are invalid. So to use that as the baseline, you've already gotten some noisy results that are helpful, but not conclusive.
Gotcha. So you still need that, I guess, that human element when reviewing, people's resumes and profiles and everything. Artificial.
Well, you got an intelligent eye to it. And I think, so your question is, what's going to happen in 5 years? I think it can be done. But if you have people in AI designing this, and some of them are brilliant, and I've talked to them, if they don't know the hiring process and the level of complexities in decision making, and there's two types of decision making. The candidate has to make a decision. The hiring manager has to make a decision. And so I have not found anybody in AI who understands it from a recruiter's perspective. So it could be done in 5 years where that could actually be done. But seeing the trends, the people developing the AI are just good AI and machine learning kinds of folks, and they're brilliant, but you don't apply it to the right process, you're going to come up with the wrong answer.
Absolutely.
And that's why people are struggling with it. And that's why companies who are investing in it aren't doing all that well. People try it. It's a great new thing, but nothing's really changed.
What do you think are some of the things that have prevented companies from maybe hiring some of the best talent that they could?
I'm going to contend continuing reliance on skills-based job descriptions that don't define the job. I've been saying this for 30, 40 years. It's 30 years, it's now more than 40 years doing this. And I worked for 10 years prior to becoming a recruiter. I was running a manufacturing company.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I decided I hated the group president and I argued every time I saw him. So I tried to avoid him and he tried to avoid me. So nonetheless, I said, I think I'll become a recruiter. Then I realized it was a business process. My first assignment, which was 40 years ago, I walked into a manufacturing company looking for a plant manager, no job description, no skills. Hey, let's walk through the manufacturing plant. What do you need fixed? I talked to a sales rep. What does this person have to do to be successful? Talk to a senior executive. What do you want to do with this company? What would a year later the board of directors think this new CEO has been successful? So I always focus on what the person needs to do to be successful. And until that becomes the norm, the companies will struggle hiring great people because there's very few great people who are interested in taking a lateral transfer that is ill-defined. And since they're rarely looking, 86% of the people aren't looking for a new job. And 95% of the best people are in that 86%. So I have to reach out to them with a real job. So that's what's preventing companies from hiring great people. They're using the wrong solution, targeting active candidates. And until they realize they have to use the right solution, targeting passive candidates, things will just be the same as they were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, 40 years ago.
Absolutely.
And while that's cynical, it's valid. Nobody has won the war for talent yet, and we've been talking about it for 40 years.
Wow. So speaking of skill sets, what do you think are some of the skill sets that are the most in demand right now for job seekers?
Yeah, you see, that's the problem. It's not skills that are in demand. It's talent that's in demand, who have certain skills. What's in demand are people who are leaders, people who can learn, people who can make an impact, people who can learn and grow. Now, that's in demand. And now some of the skills that people need to do that, I can't make a global determination of that. You can look at the Department of Labor report and see the open jobs. Obviously, tech jobs are in most demand. And they all have a list of skills. I talk to tech people every single day. I can convince a top tech person to change a job if it puts that person on a different career trajectory. So the idea is, so you look at it at a company level, hey, these skills are in demand. Are we trying to find the right people with those skills? Let's assume that person's successful. Well, company B that you just took these people from are now going to be looking for those same people.
Right.
So when you look at it at a company or an industry-wide level, or hey, everybody needs engineers to do A, B, and C, well, somebody's going to miss the boat here. So then you look at it societal-wise, how do we find people like that? Right. And this goes back to who we educate, how we do it. So there's a macroeconomic impact of that, but there's always a demand, since I've been around, for people who are exceptional people with the skills, and good recruiters can find them by looking for the right things and offering the right career moves. So I don't know if that's a good answer to your question, but that's reality.
That's good. Awesome. So at the beginning of 2019, Talent Lift put out a list of 15 recruiting trends that would take effect throughout 2019. Some of them include recruitment marketing, candidate relationship management, talent sourcing, among 13 others. Do you see any specific additional trends that might take effect over the next couple of years?
Well, again, the idea is, so you have a list of 15 trends. 25 years ago, a company that wasn't as spiffy as you had a list of additional 15 trends. In 1988, I took a survey of I worked with a business group that had 5,000 companies. They took a survey of hiring great people is the most important thing. And then was, the internet and job boards are coming out. Oh, let's go in-house with recruiters. Oh, let's build our own agencies internally. Oh, let's use LinkedIn and Monster to now do these jobs. Now it's AI. So at every 2 to 3 years, some great new trend comes out. But if everybody focuses on that trend, which they do, everybody can hire great people. So trends, so it's like, this new trend will save the planet. AI will save the planet. It's like there's this place where all these great people are hidden that nobody else has found before. You think, so when you look at it at that level, you think, geez, how can we be wrong for 30 years?
Right.
It's not trends, it's at the level, what people are trying to do is be more efficient, trying to weed out weak candidates when they should be more effective going after great candidates in a different approach. So I think when I say that, I don't see people totally glomming onto the right trend. Certainly employer branding. If you have a great brand and can attract people who want to work at your company, you have obviously a competitive advantage. If you look at all these small to mid-sized companies, they're struggling. They don't have a great brand. You got to make a personal pitch that your job is a better situation, irrespective of the employer brand. I do not see any major trends where people are recognizing what I perceive to be the root cause problem. That doesn't mean that people aren't going to stay busy, but I'm pretty cynical about this, as you can gather, Danny.
Yes.
I just see it for fighting the same problem that they've been fighting for 30 years, and I see a solution, and I have clients that solve the problem.
Awesome.
There may be other ways to solve the problem other than performance-based hiring, but I do know that performance-based hiring does solve the problem, because we're going after great talent with the right jobs, with a great career move, and we're training every single hiring manager recruiter to do that properly. That is the trend that they should absorb, but recruiters want to do it their own way, hiring managers want to do it their own way, and talent leaders want to use the latest buzz thing to make sure that they're safe rather than progressive.
Absolutely. You certainly are seeking to solve a problem that has been around for decades. In doing that, you've become a leader to many companies and many executives in the HR industry. From that, what do you think is the best leadership advice you've ever been given in your career?
Okay, so this goes back, and it was probably when I was 25 or 26. So 35 years ago when I worked, I just got my MBA. I was a senior financial analyst at one of the top 50 Fortune 50 companies. I was at the corporate office. And at the time, all I was doing, and you wouldn't know it, but in those days, we didn't have PowerPoint. We had view graphs and these little charts. And all I had to do was prepare the chart and put it up on the screen. That was my whole role. And I was told by my boss, don't say a single word. And the board of directors was in the company and the group president was in the company. And I think it was the CEO or the CFO of the company was listening to a business plan presented by one of the group presidents. And these words, he said, strategy drives your tactics. I don't like, and all you're telling me is tactics. You got the wrong tactics. Get the right strategy first. The tactics will take care of themselves. So get out of this room. This is the whole board of directors, group president. Get out of the room and come back next week with the right strategy.
Wow.
That was not said to me, but it's exactly the advice I translate to recruiters. If you don't have the right talent strategy, I don't care what tactics you're going to put together. And the right talent strategy is going after great people with great careers and attract them in. Don't try to use some high volume, high velocity, efficiency approach to weed the best people out. There is not a surplus of great talent. And if there's not a surplus of great talent, you can't assume there is and build processes. There is a scarcity of great talent, and you have to have the right strategy over that scarcity. So that's why I take advice from 45 years ago and apply it today with every single client we talk with. You can't use a surplus of talent strategy when a surplus of talent doesn't exist.
Indeed, great people are what make great companies. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lou, and for sharing all of your insights with us. We really do appreciate your time. Thank you guys for listening to this interview. For these and other topics and interviews, please feel free to visit techfunnel.com. You can connect with us across social, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram, and subscribe to our weekly newsletter so you can stay up to date on everything that's happening in the industry. Thank you again, Lou.
Hey, you're quite welcome.